Mm-hmm.
I think that we do some more advertising on it.
Yeah. And
Just kind of stick with that for the moment.
yeah, no, I get that. And as far as the 365 goes, I mean, what how'd you come up with?
I'd say,
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
yeah, I'd probably do like 320.
Mm-hmm. 320 and
Uh,
because I know Rick was mentioning like you guys were kind of talking a little bit about maybe the high 200s like 290 and 295 somewhere
yeah,
in there.
yeah, yeah.
Was that
You
like
know,
was that like your lowest you would possibly go or what was that
you,
thought process about?
I'd possibly do like 310.
Okay.
I had a fellow looking at it. It when we first put it up, or actually before we even put it up, and he was gonna try and get pre-approved for 320. That kind of fell through for him.
Right. Was it because of his finances or because like the because looking at the roof, I mean, it limits a few options, right? Like the FHA and whatnot, which is just just nature of the business.
Yeah, yeah. The paper portion of the roof is probably 5, 6 years old, but that front smaller portion of the roof is just old cedar shakes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's probably due for having it redone. But
Yeah.
the larger portion of the roof is been fairly new.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. So there's portions of it that someone knew, the other portions maybe not so much, right? Okay.
Yeah, kind of the house in the
Yeah.
in the 70s was added on to.
That makes more sense.
So
Okay.
so the back portion of the roof, which is probably I'd say 85, 90% of the roof is new. It's just that
Okay.
front
Just that front part's not so hot. Okay.
yeah.
That makes more sense. Okay. And have you ever thought? Because I know you're going to do 1031 exchange, so that may not even be an option for you. But doing any type of creative financing, like is there a mortgage on the property already? If you don't mind me asking, I'm just trying to think of
There
creative.
there is.
Oh, okay. Again, this is just more for like me coming up with ideas to figure out options. How much? What's your mortgage at right now? Like how much?
Probably around 60.
Oh, so just 60,000. Okay, got it. So most of that equity. Because one thing we could do is if we did something along the lines of made payments to you versus just all in one lump sum, but then
Mm-hmm.
it kind of squashes the 1031 potential.
Uh,
But you charging us interest, so depending on how much interest is, it's kind of like we're paying the taxes for you. That's another way to kind of think of it, I guess. But I don't know. Would you be open to conversation about that, or is that a hard
uh,
no?
oh, it's possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Have to think on it for a bit, but
Sure. And
could be a
and
possibility.
and I get you gotta think about it and see if it even makes sense for you because it might not, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
What would be some terms that would pique your interest if we did something like that?
I might do like 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then balloon payment, extend that.
Sure. Yeah. I like 5 year balloons. That's usually kind of where I get most of the creative stuff we do is with in that kind of time frame.
Right.
Um, and as far with 4 to 5 year balloon, which is great, right? And we did the interest payments. Okay, I'm just jotting some stuff down.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, sweet. So if are you? I mean, it sounds like you're just kind of when it sells, it sells. Is there any type of timeline that we need to be concerned with, or like you'd like to sell by the end of the month, kind of thing, or like when it's or was there any? I don't know if there's any urgency on
No,
that. I'm just curious.
not really.
Okay, cool. I like that. So at least we're on the same page. So sometimes I've moved too slow because they were hoping to sell it sooner, and and I kind of screw myself in some some deals. So that's why I always make sure. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Great. And if we were able to get like something like that made sense as far as like creative financing and whatnot, because I really need to kind of hone in on these numbers because it's kind of hard to find comps. It doesn't quite, River Heights doesn't sell as frequent as other areas, but up in Logan, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
If we were able to get things all squared away as far as price point goes, and because you said like you would, it seems like your bottom is like at the 210 or two, I wish the 310. I'm not sure if I can make that work or not. I was kind of looking at it at the 290 range. But even if we like kind of met in the middle and did 300, if it was like a cash deal, and if we closed like in 2 weeks, would that be something that would make sense for you if the creative financing thing didn't pan out or work out for you?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Okay. Because another thing we could do, what I was thinking, so if we did like if we bought it like a 300, just as an example, and I'm more thinking out loud, Dave. So give me a little rope.
Yeah.
With if we did the creative financing where we did payments to you and like let's just say the purchase price is, probably 340 would be what we're looking at to do the creative financing thing. But if we did, let me pull my old calculator thing so I can just give you something to think about as we move forward. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
I love the internet when it works, or technology. Okay, yeah. I'm out here in Twilla, so it's not always the fastest connection, but it works. Okay, anyways, squirrel moment. Okay, so if we did it like at the 340 we talked about, and 30-year amortization with a 5-year balloon. I mean, what were you getting for rents, by the way, when you did have it rented? 1,500. Okay. Ideally, I would like to get the payments to be a little bit under 15 because that's kind of what I was thinking too, as far as the rents. We might be able to get a little higher. I think the market's a little bit higher than that, so that'd be, which is great for us if we're as potential buyers. But if we did something along the lines of 340, even at 4%, that puts the payments to like, and this is just principal and interest. We obviously would do principal and interest and the taxes and insurance that's not counted that, but the principal and interest for you and as far as you're concerned would be like the 1600. It's like $1,623.21. Which would give you over the course of, if we did a 5-year balloon, an extra almost $65,000 in interest. If we did something like that, so I mean that kind of takes care of most of the taxes. I'm not sure what your tax guy or gal said about what that tax obligation would be, once you sold it, right? Because now you're in the capital gains area too, right? Another benefit of this is not only are we like doing a higher purchase price and then you're getting the $65,000 in interest over the next 5 years, but and I'm sure and again, I'm no tax expert, but for when I've done this before with other people, it's like they're taxing the money they received, not just the money that they've sold the property for. So if they received X amount, instead of getting taxed on the 300 and change, they got taxed on like the 30,000 they got in payments, for just an example, or however much it was. And so that put them in a lower tax bracket. Because if I made $300,000 in 1 year, like I'm, at least for that top part, I'm the highest tax bracket. So even that alone kind of saves a little extra money too. But obviously, I know you're in check with your tax guy, so just more food for thought, if anything. Yeah, if we were able to do something like that, or the purchase price was like closer to the 340 range, and the payments was like, a little more than $1,600 a month, that'll give us a little bit of cash flow. Because I think I could probably rent this out for $1,800, the size of it and whatnot. Once we get 100% renovated, I think we can maybe even do more if I'm lucky. But that gives us a little wiggle room, and then to build the wealth in that direction. How does that sound, or what other questions do you have about something like that? Is this even, because I know you said you wanted to think about it, so do you have any thoughts on what I just kind of vomited at you?
Just if you want to give me a day or two to
Sure.
get with my tax guy and
Yes,
think it over
good
a little
idea.
bit.
Good idea.
And maybe like you guys kind of decide if you know, you're gonna go with.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, like both those, if we were able to pick it up at 300 and just do a cash deal, you know, like get you in and out fairly quickly, or we did the creative financing, both of those numbers work for us. We're going to make about the same because the benefits, you know, I got to pay interest to somebody. You know, I'd rather not pay, you know, 18% to this other guy that's going to finance it until I be able to refinance the regular bank or whatever. And then I'm going to pay in higher interest to the bank. And so if I can get it for someone that's, you know, that giving you the payments instead of the bank person, then I'm tickled pink. You know, that's what allows me to pay extra, you know, because that saves me that interest. So either way, we're making about the same, to be honest, when it comes down to it all. So we're good with either one. So it's really going to be kind of up to you what makes sense. Yeah, so you talk to your tax guy, make sure you're making the right call for you. Also, if we did do the cash, so if you do end up doing the 1031, we're flexible as far as closing dates, because I do understand once you sell a property, you have like 45 days to identify, another 45 days to close if memory serves. So if we need to push it out a little bit, we can. So just letting you know, we do need to move on it, but we're flexible to make if it makes sense for you. You know, if we're doing like the cash, for example. But okay, so you got to talk to your tax professional guy, which is, you know, I don't know if you're able to, how accessible he or she is. If you're able to talk to him today, and if we can meet maybe mid-afternoon on Monday, or not meet, but, you know, jump on a phone call real quick and just to see what your thoughts or what other extra questions you might have. Would that be reasonable?
Yeah, possibly. I'm actually out of town till probably Wednesday, but I can get with my tax guy and let's see, today's
Friday, the 20th.
Oh, Friday. Yeah, if you wanna, I don't know if he's in today, but if you wanna check back with me Monday.
Okay. Yeah, and then if you haven't got hold of him, then we can just, you know, push it to Tuesday or whatever, because I get being out of town and traveling's pain in the butt sometimes, right? Yeah, let's just pencil it in so it's in the calendar, because if it's not on the calendar, like I completely forget like all the time. I'm terrible. But so what if we did it towards, to give you some, you know, if you can't get home today, maybe, you know, later that day, depending. I got a slot open on Monday, and Rufus, feel free to chime in if it doesn't work for you, if that makes sense. But if we, on Monday around, I don't know if 11 is too early, or 11:30, would that be?
11 would be fine.
11, okay. I'm gonna put in there for 11:15 just in case, but yeah, if that works, and then we'll just call you at the same number and we'll have a chat, and then Rufus, does that work for you? On yeah, okay, good. All right, I'm just putting the calendar, and then and what would be? Do you have a good email that I can send the event invite if you like those? If you don't worry about it, but what would be a good email that I can send that to?
Sure, it's David. 374 E is in Echo at gmail.com.
David 374 E is in Echo at gmail.com.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. And it'll be coming from my company's email, like jaredb@challengsolver.com. So just, you know, FYI.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, I'll send you that. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, we'll just, yeah, see, I mean, if you can get a hold of your tax person sooner, awesome. You know, any questions in the meantime, you know, this is my number, or you have Rufus' number too, so either one of us, maybe I'll start like a group chat so there's an easy hub, so we're not going back and forth to, you know, if you have to ask questions or whatever, so all of us are involved. But sounds great. Okay, perfect. Any questions from us or for us until, you know, in the meantime?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, well, we'll talk to you Monday
Sounds great.
at 11.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Dave. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Rufus, it's just you and me now.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your what's? I think I have your email somewhere. I think Battle Squad somewhere, but did I get you assigned to a Battle Squad yet? I don't think I did actually. Now that I think about it.
I'm in a squad.
Oh, you're in a squad. Okay, good, good. Okay.
Yeah, we at our weekly meeting.
Oh, good, good. Oh yeah, with Tamara. Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Tamara and Frank. Oh, Frank's a good guy. I've done deals with him. He gets a little overzealous sometimes, but I still like him. Okay, that's good, dude. Okay, let me send that invite. So I'm gonna send an invite to you and to him. So this is the Google Calendar invite to a call,
Oh, okay.
and then I'm not gonna do just a call.
Yeah, I was blown away about the way you were handling that.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into the emotional side of things, really. It was just kind of more number. So, and this may or may not be good, but like when I'm talking to other investors or agents, I'm kind of more just open and shut. Like, this is the number. What do you think about this? And we're open, like, even with creative financing. Just like, but if it's like a Joe Blow that's never invested before and they're just in a tough situation, I handle it a little bit different. So it's like kind of knowing your audience. And it still probably would have been better if I hit the emotional side of things with Dave on it, and I probably still will when we're still when we're going over all the when we're doing all this stuff. So I hope I didn't. Okay, good. Yeah, I did. And I did do it intentionally at 11, so it could be we can jump on the Zoom call, we can have the call during our meetings.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be good for everyone to kind of hear. So what you said, you were kind of blown away. So what was something that kind of?
No, just the language that you spoke with him about.
Yeah.
You know how to break down like what can be done.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and
you know where to go, like you know how to structure the deal.
Yeah, and again, I've just barely looked at it, so that you'll get to that point too. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, and we may end up having, after we look at actual comps and see what the were you never got inside though, right? You're just kind of on the outside.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that. But he told me that they turned down the bottom like not too long ago.
So it's been gutted, but it hasn't been like finished rehabbed or at all, right?
They said they remodeled the bottom, the basement, I think.
Oh, remodeled. Okay, got it.
Yeah, like they removed the floor.
Shoot. You said David 374 East. It didn't send the invite to his email address. 374 E. Echo. Maybe I messed up. Maybe it's Dave. Anyways. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, let's see what we can do to get this thing tied up and done. So I think even at 300, I think that's I think there's still a deal there because it's still the $150,000 spread between purchase and does factor in how bad it is as far as the rehab goes. That's going to eat up the profits, right? So.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like it could be higher than the 440. I just from gut and doing a quick little search. So we get 300.
Like around that area, like the houses there are like 5-bedroom and 2-bathroom.
Yeah.
Going for around like 600.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same. I feel like it should be more than that, and.
It's sitting on a pretty big lot too.
So people can maybe even potentially extend it if they want to, or I imagine big lots are kind of normal out there. Though is my guess. Is this your you live out here? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. But okay. Well, good job, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. There's another one, but I'm trying to. It's the property is it's a rundown house. Like it's a 8,000 square foot.
8,000 square feet. Oh, that's a big one. Okay.
Yeah, and like it's nobody's in there. Like it's all like a zombie house, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Cache County set their appraiser for like $1 million.
Yeah. I
And
that makes sense for that big of a house to be over $1 million. Yeah, that checks out.
so I was like, that's the one I'm trying to go
Mhm.
after now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's an abandoned property. The owner lives in somewhere out of state,
Mm,
and so nobody's at that property.
got it.
And but we'll see. Maybe we can, lock it in together too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm down. I'm game.
Okay.
Hmm. Oh wow. Yeah, there's a house that's going for almost 700 a couple blocks down, but it's like 500 square feet, or a couple houses down. That's pretty big. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, let's just we'll do some analysis on this bad boy, and then and then you want to get a hold of that $1 million property, see what happens, and if you want to jump on a call, then yeah. And the thing is, like, when you're talking to the seller, like you don't need to be perfect, and there's so many ums, and like, sure, I was talking a little fast with this guy, but that's just my normal cadence. But like, you don't have to be perfect and smooth. Like, that's, if anything, that's it almost hinders you, right? Because you're not real. You're not.
When I spoke with David, I'm like, oh, are you selling it? So he's like, yeah,
Mhm.
So I spoke with him about why he's selling it, but just to structure the deal like that, like you just did,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, wow, I didn't know it was, you can go that route.
Yeah. Well, and that's why like 40 or 50% of my deals are some sort of creative financing, because almost in every interaction I bring up creative financing in some fashion or another. So, and the reason why, I mean, just for your info, like, so how can we offer more with creative financing versus like doing a cash deal? Like, it's really comes down to the interest you're paying for the money. That's where that difference comes into. So the interest we're paying for, like, and I say we, knowing that we're going to try to wholesale this, but the interest is, you want to think as if you're going to flip it yourself, or you're renting it out yourself, or some, along those lines. So when you're looking at that, it's, if when you do the math, when you're paying 12% interest for hard money, and then plus 2% just to start the loan, right? That adds up pretty quick if it takes 6 months. But if he's charging me like 4%, which I didn't even mention the percent that we're getting charged, I just mentioned the payment. So I'm not even gonna bring it up unless I didn't mention down payment. If you noticed, I didn't say a word about a down payment. So if he doesn't say anything about down payment, we're gonna do this without down payment.
Yeah.
And I didn't mention interest. I mentioned payments, how much he's getting, right? So the interest that we'd be getting for that $1,600 payment is like, what did I have it at? That's like, it's at 4%, which is phenomenal. If I just would have said 4% out of the gates, you're like, well, I don't know, but I'm talking about the payments and like the rents, and it, like, it's a little bit more on the logical side of things, right? Because you gotta make a profit, and and that's why I like working with landlords, because they normally get it. We're in the same business.
Yeah.
And so it's effectively securing the property for $340, but so financing and no interest, or no down payment as of right this second. Right, so and he'll probably ask about it, if he's a savvy investor and knows about the stuff. But we can just we'll take care of closing, and that's that. But 4% interest, no down payment. That's pretty decent. That gets attractive. when they're doing stuff like that. And then the down payment for the buyer is like whatever wholesale fee is. So it's like 40,000 for the down payment, or 10,000 or 20,000. I don't think it's gonna be like a massive. It really depends on where the ARV lands. If the ARV stays like the 450 range, then we're probably like gonna make like 10,000 as a wholesale fee. But if it ends up being like in the 500 range, then we're looking at potentially 20 to maybe even 40,000 as a wholesale fee. So that's not too bad at all. Yeah. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I got another call I gotta take. But yeah, good job, man. Yeah, we're gonna reconvene on Monday and chat with Dave, and then if you get a hold of that $1 million property, like let me know. Let's work it out. See if we figure something out. It makes sense. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Great job. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.